Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now here in my hands, the Viridian Weapon Technologies RFX44, which I did cover in a preliminary look, an overview, and mounting this to my rifle. At the time I used a 9mm carbine and this was extremely effective. This is just a beautiful optic. I do have to say, gorgeous construction. Just sort of, I don't know, like a striking design to it. Everything about this screams quality. But when it comes down to it, well, not only can you use this on a rifle or the carbine, but in today's case, we are going to mount it to a handgun. So this pistol here, this is the Canik Mete SFT, which for me, I've pretty much decided this is a gun that I'm going to use for different experiments, trying out different optics, trying out different sights, all kinds of modifications. And to me, I've kind of struggled with the idea of putting a big, square, blocky sight on my handguns. So this is a learning experience for me. I'm hoping today I can completely change my mind when mounting this up onto my handgun, and really, bottom line is, performance will prevail. So in today's video, we're going to get this kind of configured for the handgun. I have an adapter plate, which we are also going to discuss. We'll get it all mounted to the Canik Mete SFT. I'll bring it out to the range, give it some practical field use, and then I'll come back to the studios and I'll give you my final thoughts. And so with that said, I have a whole bunch to do and a whole bunch to share with you. And if you're interested in seeing a little bit more about what I'm about to get into, do me a favor, stay tuned. Now, before we get too far, I would like to say thank you very much to the people at Viridian Weapon Technologies who did provide this for review. And so as we get into this here, again, the Viridian Weapon Technologies RFX44. Keep in mind, in my preliminary video, I did go through this in detail, so if you would like to see the functionality and how this performed, and then also the discussion about some other options, you can definitely catch those details on my prior video. But today, we will prepare this for the handgun. Now, the first thing you can see, this is currently mounted on a pick rail adapter. There are a number of different adapters for the RFX lineup. So depending on what your application is or what you're trying to do, you have high mounts, low mounts, pick rails, and also today, as I mentioned, we have different mounts that can get you going for the handgun application. So this here is the Doctor Acro mount. So you'll see this adapter is the Doctor footprint, but it's the Acro mount. And as you take a look here, you'll notice that I will be able to remove the RFX44 from the pick rail adapter, which is very simple with a T10 star bit. So the first thing we're going to do is actually remove this, get that pick rail adapter out of there. Now at this point, I have been able to identify that the Canik Mete SFT actually utilizes the RMSC footprint. So my prior sort of start to this video was a little bit off just with that Doctor plate. So again here, the RMSC adapter to the Acro footprint, which this should absolutely line up. And as you take a look at it here, you can see that footprint is fairly small now. I'm hoping it doesn't hang over too far on this slide. And see, I don't get it. This thing is just walking around in here. It's going to line up, but I'm going to need to use the spacers that come with the Canik Mete SFT, which the Canik Mete SFT comes with these spacers. You'll notice this one has a tab on the front and on the back. This one only a tab on the front. But for this RMSC to Acro adapter, I will be leveraging the one with both the tab on the front and on the back. You'll notice that it has these little indexing pins, and then everything aligns perfectly. So when you take this and fit it in there, your bolt holes align perfectly, the tabs all sit down, and that fits right inside. So this is the easy part. This you can see is going to index with that little key. That's going to fit right inside there. And now fitting that on top. Clearly, I have a big, large box sitting on top of my handgun. To me, it's just such a weird look. Again, I'll go back to, do looks matter versus functionality? Well, functionality prevails, but man, does this thing just look weird. So the question now is, how will this perform? You can see there the dot on the inside. Let's take this to the range and give it some practical use. And so now as I get the RFX44 out to the range, the first thing you'll see, well, I did happen to swap out my Canik Mete SFT for my SIG P322. The main reason simply being I had some conflicting videos that I needed to work with and I needed to free up my Canik Mete. So swapping out now to the 322. The first thing you're going to see, I am bench resting this at 7 yards to make sure that I have the ability to get this appropriately zeroed in after a quick shot, just taking a minute to make simple adjustments to my elevation and windage. This is a very simple process. You just take your time, work through this, and make the adjustments accordingly. Now, the Viridian RFX44 does have a nice positive click. You can feel each one of the little movements, and you can see I am making a full turn adjustment here. Being so close up, you do actually have to move this quite a bit to get it to make your adjustments. The further back you are, the less you need to move it. That experience does come in time. But as we move forward here, you can see, quick another shot, just a touch high. Gonna make a simple adjustment to my elevation, bring that shot back down, and my windage is pretty darn close, at least at this point. Again, the RFX44 being very simple to get dialed in. The green dot, extremely easy to see, even on a bright day. It does have a nice adjustment for the overall brightness. And I can tell you this dot is extremely easy to pick up, even if I do have a big box on the top of my handgun. But overall, like I had said, this is extremely easy to get zeroed in. Just taking your time, being a little bit patient, and the fact that I'm bench resting this really does help me get things zeroed in. Now you can see at this point, I'm close enough that I'm taking my time and trying to get a nice simple group. This isn't exactly spot on zero, but I did want to see if my grouping is at least somewhat consistent. And you can see based on those 3 rounds landing in a pretty tight tolerance, I am now a little bit low and a little bit to the right. So making the simple adjustments to both elevation and windage. It's very simple. This is nicely marked on the side of the weapon light, so you do have the indication. Moving this clockwise will pull my shot to the left, getting things seated, getting things situated. And at this point, first shot was low, brought it up, knew I was going high, took a couple shots there to try it, brought it back down, made the adjustment. So now I'm pretty much centered right here at 7 yards. Gonna push back a little bit. Now my next set of 10 here, going out to 10 yards. I am continuing to work on my zero, so you'll notice that I am bench rested. A lot of times I do like to get my zero out to around 15 yards, so I'll take my time, get everything dialed in, and work my way slowly and methodically from 7 yards out to 10 yards, check everything, test everything, make sure it's going appropriately so that I'm accurate, so that I know exactly where I stand, so that I'm not losing shots, and so that I don't waste ammo. This is a little bit tedious, and you could do it with some simple calculations. If you know the turns and the MOA adjustment on your optics, you can do a lot of the adjustment by the number of clicks. But for me, it's a little bit of practice, a little bit of touch, a little bit of feel. And I do like to do it with the active shooting, and especially where this is 22, it's fairly cheap. But at this point, at 10 yards, the group looking pretty darn good. I do have to say, this is coming along nicely and a great way to get started. Now I'll go through my progression now that I feel as though everything is bench rested the right way. Getting on target handheld at 10 yards, standing up properly on target, and not doing too bad of a job at a reasonable rate of speed. This grouping to me is about what I'd expect and starting to come together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then the 10th, kind of out of that grouping. But all in all, I mean, these groupings you can see are fairly tight. So with the Viridian green dot working very well. And so with everything coming together at 10 yards, I am now able to push out a little bit further. Now I'm out to 50 feet, coming back to 0. Now I am inside my pistol bay, which pretty much has a maximum depth of 50 feet. That's pretty good for me. This is about where I like to get myself pretty well zeroed in. So as long as I'm zeroed at between 15 and 25 yards, I know I'm doing pretty good. So here in the pistol bay at 50 feet, looking solid. So again, at 50 feet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and that's the one that I pulled. These are all within about a 2-inch group. So that's a roughly 1-inch dot. So you can see 1 inch, 2 inch. So that's not too bad. So at this point, I'd say that looks pretty good. Let's do this without resting. Let's see how we do standing. Feeling pretty good. At this point, I can stand, continue to make sure that I'm on target. At this point, it does really require all my mechanics to do the job. Not just the sight picture while I'm bench resting, but getting up, standing up, need good posture, need good sight picture, good acquisition, and my ability to appropriately pull the trigger. All right, so a little looser than I have been, but, you know, again, 50 feet, not too bad. Couple a little high, made the adjustment. Now I'm pulling down and left, which is typical for a right-hand shooter. Couple a little bit low, but I have 6 out of the 10 round grouping, all pretty nicely clustered here. Not perfect, but that's not bad at the same time. And at this point, pretty well finishing off my target practice. Now that's a little low. I'm not surprised where I'm zeroed out now at further distance. I like zeroing at further distance because at least a close-up shot, if you were going for a headshot, worst case scenario, you're kind of bringing it down into the body mass. So that for me is kind of my methodology. So the fact that I was aimed directly at the dot and all my shots are just slightly low, I'm not surprised. Trying to increase my speed and maintain accuracy. And so granted, this is only at 7 yards, but still I'm working on, you know, my sort of target acquisition, the combination of when I see that sight on the dot and when to pull the trigger in combination with the reset and making sure that my finger's in the right place. That was pretty good, but this one is beautiful. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It makes me feel like I lost one, but that doesn't make sense. So I don't know. I'm not sure. One might be doubled up here. I can't say for sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't know. Did I lose one? If I did, it's so far off the page that doesn't make any sense to me. So I feel like something's got to be doubled up in there. So I am very happy with that. At that speed, I'm within a 2-inch group, and that was some of the best sort of, I'd say, just muzzle management and, you know, trigger finger sort of reset sight acquisition combination that I've had yet. So getting there. For my final sets, out at 25 yards, making sure that I do get this zeroed in at 25 yards. And I know that if I'm getting a good quality headshot at 25 yards, anything inside of that will be a reasonable body shot, even if I'm aiming for the head. So that's kind of part of the reason why I do like to go out to 25 yards. But at this point, even though my group is not incredibly tight, it's showing me that my optic is pretty well zeroed, and really at this point it's pretty much my shooting capability to get it on target. Standing up, continuing to go for the body shot a little bit faster, making sure everything at 25 yards is a good quality body shot, and as you can see here, that's well within my tolerance. I'd say that's good enough for today. And so, alright guys, there you have it. A look at the Viridian Weapon Technologies RFX44. As I mentioned, going on to the handgun, and it ended up on my SIG P322. It had a quick ride on my Mete SFT, but it didn't quite make it to the range, and that's okay. It'll probably get there at some point. But all in all, what do I think? Well, bottom line is this is a gorgeous, gorgeous optic. I like this quite a bit. It's so easy to see. It's extremely fast. You're right on it. I don't mind the box in terms of its sight picture. I don't mind the window. I don't mind how it really plays with my eyes. I just aesthetically think it looks crazy to me, and people are getting used to these things, and as they go through iterations and through time, we're probably going to see more and more of the closed emitter style being the preference. But to me, it's a little big, it's a little chunky, it's a little blocky. Probably awesome for more of your sort of general, target practice and things like that. But I would never put this on my carry gun. To me, it just doesn't make sense. I definitely like this on the rifle. It was awesome. It would probably actually be pretty sweet on a shotgun. But to me, on the handgun, it's just a little boxy, looks a little bit funny. But man, you cannot deny the actual capabilities, the quality, the clarity, the sight picture, the ability to get on it quickly, and the accuracy, the ability to get this nicely dialed in, simple, positive. I do like it for that perspective. I think it's an awesome optic. I'm just going to ask the question, do you like a big box on top of your handgun? For me, I see its place. I like the function. I just think it looks crazy. And so again, I would like to say thank you so much to the people at Viridian Weapon Technologies who did provide this for review. If you guys like what you see here, look in the description box below where you can find relevant links. And if you like this content, do me a favor, take a look at my Outer Limitless channel, which is more on my primary gear. On that channel, I cover everything from hiking, camping, and backpacking excursions, all the gear that goes with it. So from sleep systems, shelter systems, knives, axes, backpacks, flashlights, you name it, that's my Outer Limitless YouTube channel. So all right, guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.